Hey everybody, Keith Dotson here, and in this video we're looking at an old family photo album from the 1940s, and while I don't know their exact location, I feel pretty confident they lived somewhere in New York State. This is more recent than most of the old photographs I look at, but it's still more than 80 years old. There'll be a second part of this video with another similar album from the same family, but all those photographs show a major flood that happened where they live. So what I plan to do is flip through the pages pretty quickly, then go back and look at some of the more interesting photographs in more detail. As you can see, it's a pretty normal family album with babies and children doing things and photographs of relatives. All the photographs are black and white, printed on glossy gelatin silver paper, and even though they were glued directly to the paper, for the most part they've held up pretty well. And this album is 82 years old, and it's not in the best shape. Some of the photographs have fallen off the pages. That looks like Niagara Falls, which of course is in New York State. Lots of pictures of kids sitting on the lawn. Oh, look, they had pigs. Here's a picture of a family at Niagara Falls, and in the background you can see the Rainbow International Bridge. I'm guessing this is probably their photo album because I see them in here repeatedly. Another newspaper clipping. We'll come back to it in a minute. Little boy dressed up like Charlie Chaplin. That's pretty cool. Starting to see some men in uniforms. The album dates to the early 1940s, so it tracks with World War II. These have the year in red ink, 1942. Several photos of one of the guys in uniform going up to serve. Okay, let's take a closer look at some of the more interesting photos. There they are at Niagara Falls. It looks like White Shoes were having a moment. This picture of the woman and the little girl sunbathing is interesting. The grass is very long and unruly and unkept for a place to lay down on a beach towel. But also, look at her dress in the background. It looks like it's standing on its own. I zeroed in on this one because in the background is that awesome car. It looks like a Model T, but that car would be pretty old in 1942 since the last Model T rolled off the assembly line in 1927. I think what we have here is a family band who must have been performing at a fair or a celebration of some kind. Does anyone know who they might have been? And we have the arrival of a new baby. Dad looking a little bit shell-shocked, but at least he has cool hair. Here's the cute older sister with the baby. And here's the big sister in her best cowgirl duds. Western stuff must have been all the rage in those days. Here's another look at that newspaper clipping. It says Robert Carl, 5, son of Mr. and Mrs. Charles Newman, 368 Seneca Road, Hornell. And of course that is in New York State. Here we have who I assume to be the wife's father caught under an accidental double exposure. The film didn't advance far enough. This looks like someone visiting from the Navy. Look at the laundry on the balcony over there. Can't really tell what he's holding in his hand. Can't you just hear a young Frank Sinatra crooning in the background? You can see the car has New York tags. Oh, and here's that great picture of the little boy doing the Charlie Chaplin imitation. Look at his face. He is really owning that character, isn't he? Army Camp, 1942. Inscription says DD, 1942. Here's another newspaper clipping of two local fellas in the military who met up on the West Coast, and apparently it was newsworthy back home. They grew up in Elmira, New York. No idea their relationship to the people who own the photo album, but perhaps the family that owned the photo album lived in Elmira too. Look at the way she is looking at him. A couple of things about this photo. First is the name Terminal Grill. Perhaps someone will know where this was. I suspect it was in Buffalo, but that's just a hunch. Also, there's a fingerprint left on the surface of the photo. Almost certainly the person who made that fingerprint is now long gone. And aside from the handwriting, what could be more of a personal connection to these people than a fingerprint? He's about to board the train. Final farewell kiss. I wonder if he came back from the war. A couple of more military photos. And we'll close out with this cute photo of the little boy who's now a toddler wearing a tiny pilot uniform. I wonder what became of him and his adorable big sister. Hope you enjoyed seeing these faces from the past. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out my photography blog at iCatShadows.com, where I talk more about antique photography and also my own photography.